Alrighty, this is Josh again. We're going to go ahead and tear apart a Ruger Mark III 2245. It's very similar to the Mark I, Mark II, and the old standard automatic. Not real sure where Ruger gets the idea for their names, but whatever. Fine pistols. Probably about the best 22 auto you could find anywhere. This is the Target model. It was just over $300 at the time, and it shoots amazing. I have done no modifications at all. This is the scope rail that comes with it. We're also going to tear apart a Waltherp22. It's also a fine handgun. It's unfortunately not in the quality range of the Ruger, and it costs more. Not real sure where their logic is, but we're going to start with the Ruger, like I said. Now, the Ruger can be very difficult to assemble or disassemble. It can be really frustrating. You have to do everything in a specific order. It's kind of goofy. The Walther is much easier as far as steps. However, due to building tolerances, because it's not the same quality, it's actually fairly interesting to disassemble, and we'll show you some tricks on that. Okay, now with the Ruger, it's best to start with an empty magazine. I did not do that, and I'm going to, because you need a magazine in several parts here. And fortunately, you can't do that with this. And it's not safe, of course, to do it with a loaded magazine, because who knows, I could throw one in the tube and shoot myself in the kneecap. Alrighty, magazine in. There's a, we're going to call it a disassembly lever on the back of it. Pulls down and back, and it pulls right out the bottom of the gun. We're going to take the magazine out now, because you can't go any further without. Okay, the barrel, firing assembly, recoil spring, extractor, all this crap pops right off the top. Just push against the polymer frame, or in your case, possibly a metal one if you have one of the older style. Alrighty. If you shoot a lot in your gun, you need to clean this stuff before you put it back together. Be really gentle. This stuff is all held in with pins. If you're a fan of Ruger handguns or rifles, especially in the 22s, you'll know about their pins. They love their pins, pins. If you mess with any of these things, one of these random parts is going to fall out. If you need to do a trigger job on this, you're probably crazy, because from the manufacturer, this one has like a 3-pound trigger. It's insane. It's as close to a hair trigger as I've ever seen. But if you do, you need to get an armor course, preferably from AGI. They make great ones. There's probably some others floating around to help you do that. This pulls right out the back. We got extractor. Probably clean up the breech area there. You get your recoil spring. It's really small on the Ruger. It's not an overly powerful spring, but it's plenty. I've shot everything in this thing from standard loads to hyper velocity. Works just fine. Also clean the bottom of it. It can be problematic. I'm not going to show you how to go any further, because messing with Ruger handguns is specifically forbidden by Ruger. If you're a gunsmith, knock yourself out. If you're not, take it to a gunsmith and have an expert do it. If you pretty much look at your gun wrong, Ruger won't even talk to you. They don't want you to tear your magazines apart or anything. The magazine's actually really easy to disassemble, and just for sag, we'll show you how to do that. You're going to need a pin punch or an Allen wrench, which is much more common for me. This magazine's a little different, again, than some of the older magazines. Anyways, there's generally a hole in the bottom. Push it in, in which case it'll pop it off, and the magazine will come apart. This can be handy so you can clean the magazine. As you see, mine's all rusty because I carry mine for a hunting handgun, and it gets a little rusty. I should probably clean that later. I might do that. I'm not going to show you how to go any further than that, because there's little or no point, but if you pull this down with the spring out, you can pop this little head part off here and take the follower out. There's no point in doing that. You can't shorten the follower to add more ammo to it or anything like that, so don't bother trying. Also, Rugers probably will not function if you start messing around with the magazine, so don't. This magazine does also have a disconnect. That's another reason not to mess with it, because your handgun won't work properly if you start messing with integral parts of it. Bam, magazine's back together. Let's put the gun back together. See if I can remember how to do this exactly right. We're going to put the slide, which is going to slide back onto it, basically the barrel firing assembly. I'm doing something wrong here. I think the hammer got cocked when I set it down. Yep. This is a single action striker fire. Bam. Just slides right in there. Super easy. Okay, now we're going to put the magazine back in. Before we do that, get your assembly in there. I don't know if you can see inside here, but there's a little deal that flops around. That, I don't remember what they call it, but it has to go in a specific place. So we want it down. Put the magazine in. Making sure that's down. I'm going to throw the assembly lever back in. Or lever if you must. Now that's all back in. Rotate down. And I did something wrong. I think that was it. I hope you saw that. Locked open, closed, safety works. Okay. Ruger does not recommend that you leave any of their guns cocked. There's no decock on this, so you're dry firing it. One more time, we'll show you how to safety. We'll show you how to put that part back in. It's really, really picky. Okay. Now, it needs to be down. Throw the lever in until it clicks. Then you drop it till the back of the lever, there's a groove. It slides into the groove, goes right into the handgun. We can check our action, can't check our safety because magazine disconnect. Everything works. Never had any problems with the extractor on this. They're generally held in with a pin. But like I said, if you need to mess with any of that, take it to a gunsmith or buy the armorer's course, and you better be really mechanically inclined. Waltherp22, like I say, it's simpler, but it can be more problematic. I don't know how much time left I have on this video, so we'll do this quick. This one's real tight. It's not supposed to be like this. Apparently they had a lot of problems with them being too loose in the past, so maybe that's why that one's tighter than tight. Bam, the disassembly lever we're going to call again, even though it's not a lever. Pull down. This comes apart like a high point after you pound out the retaining pin on that one. This one has a retaining lever or whatever. Pull it back, off, real careful. You got your recoil spring, which usually jumps right out, and its rod. Now we can clean all the parts of the gun we need to clean. You can check out the hammer, all that crap if you had a magazine in it. I don't. But this is as far as the average person should go. You can clean the underside. If you have any problems with the extractor on this one, it's retained with a pin. Just pound it out apparently. That's pretty much it. We're going to go back together now. The easiest way to put this back together is to captivate the recoil spring, which is about twice as strong as the one on the Ruger, which is kind of interesting. It's because the slide and all the mechanics of this are much lighter, and the spring actually does most of the work. You will learn to hate this spring if you disassemble this gun much. Yeah, you will hate the spring. Okay, it goes back into its home. You want to retain it. Get it in so the barrel is in its home. Then you want to let the recoil spring go the rest of the way in. There's a couple of ways to do that. None of them are very good. And I screwed up. Start back over. If I remember right, what I want to do is then drop the spring. Yeah. Look at that, it did it itself. That never works that well. Okay. Now, you wonder, why is this thing locked back? Well, again, design tolerances are much too high. The hammer is pushing the slide up, as you can see. It should go into battery like that. We're all the way back together. As always, check the safety. The safety still works. Trigger still works. Half cock works. Everything works. Magazine disconnect. Bam. That's pretty much it. If you got one like mine, you can change out the back of the grip. I'm sure you figured that out already. You'll need a pin punch or something like that to pound this little guy out. There's a large one and a small one. This is the large one. The sights, the front sight that is not adjustable, but they come with 3 different sizes, I believe. Mine came with 3 plus a plug, so that's either no front sight or I'm missing the 4th one. Feel free to choose what you think that Walther and Smith & Wesson were thinking when they did that to me. And the rear is a adjustable sight for, should be windage. Yeah, it's going to be left or right. That pretty much wraps it up. If you have any questions, you should be able to find my email address on the on my channel, but it's joshjeffords@gmail.com. I will answer any questions you have. If you have any comments, and also constructive criticism is perfectly acceptable. Alright.